Hey, it's 28mm RPG. It's Rick. It's Rick. I'm a little far from my mic. I gotta get a extension for my mic, so but hopefully you can hear me pretty good. Today we are gonna be talking about the Cypher System. You will love it. I tell you, you will love it. Two different books. This is the old one. This is the new one. Subtle differences. I'm going to go over some of them. And we will also be talking about this book as well, which is for our upcoming game, loosely based on Godforsaken. I took some ideas out of this and cooked up my own thing, which I thought was pretty cool. So anyways, we have characters already made, so you're not going to have to endure an hour or so of character creation. It's already been done. So I'm not going to make you guys go through that. It's going to be playing the game right away. So let's go over some of the ideas here. Cypher System. Well, the differences between the books. And I know I've probably gone through this many times before on my channel, but I could go over a little bit more about, Cypher if you really want me to, how to play it and all that stuff. But the thing is it worth, giving up this book and going to this book? To put it kind of bluntly, no, not really. I mean, you could get either or and still play the game, so it should play the same. There's a few different things between the two. It only basically when it's talking about the different types, like in Warrior, it goes through all the little tropes here, in fantasy, modern horror, science fiction. In the new one, I'll bring up the same sort of page and see what show you kind of basically some of the differences. Let's see there. So that's the Warrior on that book. Here is the Warrior on this one. So in this one, it gives you, basically almost the same information. But where it changes is when after it starts describing this, it starts giving you like your warrior intrusions and some ideas for that. It gives you your stats starting, and then your first tier stuff. But you notice in the new book, it gives you each of these special abilities, but they don't explain each ability. Where in this book, the old one, we'll get into the special abilities, and it tells you right away what each one is right here. So you can go through each one of those and find out what they are. In the old book, there is bash, there is combat prowess. Okay, so there's control the field. There's no combat prowess in this one. So there's a couple of different ones. So this is of course, the old book. So what it gives you new is combat prowess. You got control the field in both. An improved edge is the next one in no, it's sorry, improved edge. And there's extra edge here. Extra edge. It says extra edge instead of improved edge. No need for weapons. That's in both. Overwatch, yes. Physical skills, yes. And practice in armor. practices armor, yes. And quick throw, well, quick draw in here. Swipe is the same. And trained without armor, and a thrust is in here. So there is subtle differences. So stuff that you can use for both, and it's just different. So it tells you each of the things in the old book, where in the new book it's kind of like the way they've done spells in D&D. They give you a list of the spells. You know, these are all the first level spells. These are all the second level spells, and these are all these things. But they give you a page number in order to go to that particular page and look up each thing. Now, there's good and bad things about both. I mean, it is nice when you're making a first tier character, first tier like adept or first tier warrior or explorer or the speaker. It's cool to have that information like right away. And then that would be cool if it just had the first tier stuff in there and then did this for the rest of the that would work maybe, but there again, you know, they can, if they did that for the first tier and then they didn't do that for the next second tier or whatever, that would be a little weird, right? But I don't know, it's you know, they're just slightly different. So I mean, you can play the game out of both very easily. If somebody else has the second book, you can easily just grab things off of that the other one is missing, and vice versa, because there's also things missing in the other one. So stuff missing in both, or stuff added in both. It's weird, but lots of cool stuff in each one. Like I say, most of this book, this is all character creation, all this stuff. Now, once we continue on through all the abilities and all this crazy stuff that you will be, nice thing, they alphabetically ordered the all your abilities, so that's nice. At least they didn't do it all weird, like these are all your first tier, these are all your second tier. No, they just did it in alphabetical order. So that's cool. Going through all the S's, the T's. So now there we get to the rules. So all that entire part of the book, that's about half the book right there. Half the book is about the player. So how to create a character, all the different options. Those are all options in there. That's all that is. The rules are pretty simple. Very, very easy. Take your action. Very malleable for role-playing games where it's more theater of the mind. It's easier that way. This is the only chart you need in the entire thing, is this one here. That's it. That's everything. You don't need really anything else. Just that one. That's it. This is your entire game is based on one chart. You don't have to go run around looking for charts through here and there or whatever. It's all right there. Task difficulty 0 through 10. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Meaning routine, simple, standard, demanding, difficult, challenging, intimidating, formidable, heroic, immortal, impossible. And then the Cipher target number, which is 3 times whatever task's difficulty number is. Very easy. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Then you get into the harder ones because your D20 doesn't roll 21, 24, 27, and 30. And once again, you don't get a modifier on your die roll. None. You have to get this task difficulty down by doing different things, by providing effort in order to bring it down one, or having an asset that brings it down another point. So you can basically take a heroic feat and dwindle it down gradually to maybe a challenging or something fairly easily if you have a friend that'll help you, if you have an asset, and you have a skill, or you have some form of device that aids you in some way. It does bring all that down. So that's all that and you just role play that out. Here, I'm gonna help you with this. Got my skills, and then they help you, and it's very easy to uh, understand. It's got some ideas on timekeeping and stuff here. Let me kind of move this over so you can see a little bit more. It's kind of weird because I have my camera it kind of offset from my head, so I'm not really seeing the center of things. There we go. So it gives you some ideas for doing the timekeeping kind of idea. It gives you time usually required for all of these. Make or breaking camp takes about a half an hour. So it's just generalish ideas just to kind of keep it in context for from game to game, and kind of keep that fluidity between sessions. Damage from hazards. It gives you some ideas, and your damage is set numbers. So a light weapon does 2 points. A heavy medium weapon does 4, and a heavy weapon does 6 points. So and if you roll really high, you get more damage. And if you roll a 1, well then that's a game master intrusion. So the GM introduces something into the scenario. He can draw it out by cards, roll on a table if he wants to. I prefer to use the cards because the cards are like really fast and I don't have to find my die, pull it out, roll it, then look up on a big long chart of all kinds of different possibilities. I just pull a card and I choose one of the things on that card. So the card may have like maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 ideas on it, and that's all I do. The cards make it so much easier to pull off the game mastering in this, because as a game master you don't actually roll any dice for opposition rolls or anything. That is all done by the players. The players are defending themselves. The players are they're defending with against a challenge modifier. So they have to roll the challenge of the attack that the monster's doing on them. And then if the players are attacking, then they roll to against the challenge rating of the monster's defense. So both ways, the players are rolling dice, and the game master is free to think up things and come up with other ideas. Uh, and for instance, all that time that I spend on the fantasy grounds to make sure, oh, okay, I roll dice for this guy and this NPC and the results of something shooting back and all that. I don't have to worry about that. That's that's the cool thing about this is I don't have to do any of that. It leaves me free to write down my notes, to come up with different ideas on the fly. It gives you more of a freeing ability to do so. The creatures themselves are really easy. So we're gonna get so these are some ideas for vehicle movement and stuff like that. You can go through all of this or make up your own stuff. Like depending on what your setting is. Experience points are fairly easy. You just need 4 experience points, and then the players are able to increase one of several choices. And once they've done each one of those choices in their tier, then they can do any choice that they want at any time. So they're not set to let's see, I'll bring up let's see, we got to have a character sheet in here, don't we? We got a character sheet. So here's the character sheet. let me go ahead and bring it up so that you can see it. So the character sheet gives you the advancements here. So if you're tier 1 and then you tick off one of these when you got 4 points to spend, 4 experience points, and one of them here is, let's see, increase capabilities. So you add plus 4 points onto stat pools. So then you can add it to your might, speed, or intellect, any arrangement. That's one of them. The other one is move towards perfection. Get a +1 to an edge of your choice. So then you put an edge, which makes it easier in effort to do one of these things: might, speed, or intellect. Then there's another one here: extra effort. It allows you to give yourself an extra point, like you start off with only 1 effort when you play, when you're a tier 1 character. So if you decided, after you get your 4 points to go to that, you're practically playing as a second tier character already, with that extra level of effort you can put. Instead of drawing the challenge rating down by 1, you can put in that extra effort, which isn't as many points as the first group of tier of first effort that you put in. If you double your effort, it's not 2 times the points. It's just a little bit more. So the extra effort may be worth it, depending on whether or not you want to deplete your pools by using effort, or deplete your pools or save it for damage, because it's entirely up to you. You can figure out how you want to exhaust things. Skill training. So here you get a skill, yay. Okay, or you train in a skill. Other refer to Cypher System rulebook. So depending on there could be like a certain type of system that you're playing where it gives you another. So you have at least 4 things that you check off, and boom, you are now second tier, and you get additional special abilities, because second tier you'll get to choose and pick a bunch of things that you want in order to increase your character type. And yeah, you just keep on going. There's more ciphers you can carry, and etc., etc. So that's it. Oh, and recovery. Recovery is important. There are 4 things of recovery. One's an action, then it's 10 minutes, then it's an hour, then it's 10 hours. Okay, so those are your 4 recovery rolls. So if you want to recover, it only takes you 1 action to recover. Very quick. The second time you use it, it's going to take you 10 minutes. Okay, and every time you recover, you roll a d6 plus your tier. So that means you get at least 2 points back, but you could end up with 7 points back as a tier 1. So you might want to hold off on doing your first action until you've accumulated, say maybe 4 or 5 points, because that's going to be kind of the average of what you're going to roll with a d6. So you don't want to get a really good roll and basically heal up only 2 points, because you only have 2 damage on your might or whatever, or you expelled some through exhaustion by using more effort, and then you wasted it. Because if you waste a good roll, hey, that sucks. It's entirely up to you when you decide on doing it. And then once it gets to the 10 minutes to the hour and the 10 hour, then it becomes kind of like a group effort to decide on when they want to do the rest. So because an hour is gonna take a player out of the game for an hour in the game time, not in real time, but in the game. So you have to kind of mitigate that with the other players, because they don't want to wait around for you if they're in the middle of the action, and etc., etc. Gives you some ideas for artifacts. Gives you some ideas for, character species like dwarf, elf, half giant, hellborn, other things. You can make up your own shit. That's what we did. Uh, we made up Spencer's character, and he's like kind of he's nocturnal, and that's going to be something that evolves throughout the game. So we'll see what happens. So it's got some ideas for running a modern game, ideas for running a science fiction game, horror game. It's got this is and superheroes. That's cool. Superheroes is very easy to do with this, and then it gives you a whole bunch of weird things for each genre, ideas, all these threats, these ideas that to put into your game. You can use these as GM intrusions if you want. Make things interesting. Game mastering. Here we got the GM's section here, and it's kind of the same as what's here in the old book. It's all kind of relative in both. The game mastering section will give you a bunch of creatures. These creatures are very, very easy. See, let's see. There's Abomination. It has a 5, and it gives you the translated creature rating or the challenge rating. So the difficulty is going to be 5, which is 15. So that's 5 times 3 is 15. So it already does the math for you there, so you don't have to worry about that. And then its health is 22. That means it can take up quite a bit of damage before it dies. Damage inflicted is 6 points. Wow, it's nasty. That thing's real. Its armor is 2. So every time you hit it with something, it absorbs 2 points of damage. So the only time you can mitigate that armor is if you do ambient damage. So if you got something that causes ambient damage, like fire, energy, I guess, in some forms, radiation, that sort of stuff, that is different. It doesn't go through the armor. It affects the creature, all around. So stuff to think about. So it's got all kinds of different creatures in here. A deep one is a 4 challenge rating, so you need a 12 or higher to hit it. And its health is 15. It damages you every time it hits you. It's 5 points. So all of these are different. And sometimes there's a difference between this rating whenever it's attacking or when it's defending. So sometimes that could be something that's written up in the rules. But most of the stats can be put on a little card. You don't need all this crazy stuff. Sure, the interactions and stuff, some of the ideas for how they do combat and all that stuff. That's cool stuff. You can use that. Definitely read up your creatures before you start using them. Or when you make up your own stuff, do the same thing. Give prompts to different things that they can do in certain situations. And maybe some ideas of some GM intrusions as well, like they do here. I like these little side thingies of ideas, that Monty and Sean put in here as they edit things, and they're like, hey, this would be this idea here, let's give a little prompt here on this, okay? And that's cool. Sometimes they even refer to other pages of the creatures, things that usually hang out with each other, stuff like that. So all kinds of different wacky ideas for monsters to start you off. So you got plenty to start off with. Even a T-Rex in here. So war droid, xenoparasites, witch, zombie, all kinds of stuff. Then it gets into the NPCs. NPCs are basically written up the same way, challenge rating, because the game master does not roll for the NPCs. he just plays them as he's just the voice of those NPCs. So that's all you have to worry about as the game master. You don't worry about rolling uh, for damage or to hit and all that stuff. That's all the player stuff. That's all they do. Ciphers. I know the mystery of ciphers. Ciphers are stuff like potions, one-off things, potions, spells, um, a syringe with some medicine in it. That's a one-off. Those are all ciphers. They can be all different kinds of ciphers. A grenade. A grenade is a cipher. It's a one-off kind of thing. And some of the things like spells are one-offs, but only a timed one-off. So when you get a new spell later on, you can do it so many times a day, or it might be something that you can use your intellect points to drain your intellect points in order to cast some of these things, so which you will see in the game as well. It all depends on whether or not they are abilities or if they are ciphers. Sometimes you want to have, sometimes you want to make a cipher like a scroll, where you put a spell on it that you can read, and then that becomes a cipher. And then instead of having to drain your intellect, you might have put one intellect in storage basically into creating this document, and then that's saved for later. So that becomes a cipher. And then it's a one-off. So you read the scroll vaporizes, or the words on the scroll disappear, and poof, your spell is cast. So all done with magic writing. So lots of they got different things, different kinds of gas bombs, stuff like that, and different ideas for different things, depending on what kind of things you want to make or have available for the characters. This is going to be a lot of your homework, is making these ciphers, because you're going to have to come up with these things in the provisioner shop. What does the provisioner have? Oh, well, he has arrows and bolts and blah blah blah, and then he'll have maybe a few of these ciphers as well. So you never know. He might be an alchemist and have some healing potions available. Those are ciphers, and you have to kind of prepare them for the game. You got to have an idea of what is in these as a cipher. So other than that, let's see. Once again, it gives you the rundown of the difficulties again. So, like I say, this is the only chart that anybody, the players, the game master, everybody, this is the only one that you need right here. That's it. That's, it's everything. You need to do a task. Game master assigns the difficulty. Oh, that's going to be a difficult task. So you need a 12 or higher. So it's a 4. Oh, well, I have lockpicks for that, so that brings that to 3. And I have the skills, so it's down to 2. And then all you need is a 6 or higher. Okay, we'll do that. Or if you want to do effort, then it brings it down even one more. So there you go. If it goes to a 0 task difficulty, you can still roll. And it's encouraged, because if you roll like a 20 or a 17 or higher, then you get an exceptional result, meaning you can also add the player intrusion into the game. So the player can add something else. So say, for example, this is not out of the question. If he's doing a lock picking on a chest and he rolls and gets a 20, then I would say, hey, you can add something to this as well. So what he says is he opens the box, and as his player intrusion, he finds a secondary secret a secret chamber inside that chest. So it's a false bottom, He pulls up, and there's even more stuff in there. Let me know what it is, Game Master. It's not inconceivable, but you have to have the players, be at least kind of reasonable in their intrusions. It can't be something that's way too wacky and weird, unless that's the way that you want the game to be. If you decide that's how it's going to roll, then sure, players can go ahead and do that kind of stuff. But this is a way to have these where the players take control of some of the narrative in a way by rewarding them for rolling high. The chances of rolling high, you only get basically a 5%. To have that intrusion where the player can do something extra. But no, it's up to your game. So nobody's saying that you have to have these in there. I mean, it is part of the game fun of the game to have the players, add something to it. So I would highly recommend it. Just do it. It's a game. It's you're role playing. You're making stuff up, and the whole fun of it is stuff is happening, and weird shit is occurring, and there's lots of action, and that's the main thing. Is try to make it an adventure. You don't want a boring session where they're talking to diplomats for hours and hours on end, and that's the entire game. So it gives you an example of a role play going on here with the characters, how they're interacting with the rules, and it's a good example. It's a good example of some role playing, but there's a lot of Q&A going on. So you may want, depending on your players and how you want to establish your game rules of play, you can have less Q&A going on and play it as the characters asking questions in their actions. So that's all. And yeah, just index there and the ending credits and a campaign design worksheet here. Cool. That's all right. And then of course the character sheets. Like the sheets are very easy. Not a hard sheet at all to fill out. But like I say, the blue section here, that's all player stuff. And then that's the rules. And then and that means extended rules and everything for vehicles, all that stuff, chase scenes, whatever you want, or you can make the shit up yourself. But the main rules is going to be basically these pages right here, and the rest of it is all additional rules for additional stuff. The rest of this is Game Master stuff in the green and the kind of dark green colors. So this is an all-in-one book. That's why it's so thick, and most of it's going to be with players, what players want, their ideas for making different characters. It's all options, different kinds of options. You won't even use half of these, because when you make a character, you're only picking out a couple of things each time, and then by the time you get through this thick book, you've only used something off of this page, something off of this page, something off of this page. It's small, it's minor, it's not. Don't let the thick volume here deter you from getting this game. It's pretty awesome. And that's the thing. I don't see much players playing this game. I mean, maybe it is because there's a lot of people that want that board gamey feel. Having the minis move around on a grid and all that stuff. And there's specific rules on when you could do a thing. Or how long it takes you to do a thing and all that stuff. This one, you don't have to worry about that stuff. You're playing theater of the mind. And sure, you can have a map or something, on the table, and let the players, move a miniature saying, I'm going here, I'm going to, just so that you can mitigate the meta, like, oh, my character is here, but now I'm suddenly over here with the other guys. No, it's just to kind of curb the meta kind of stuff. That's the only reason I would be using miniatures. So just to keep that in mind. And it's to keep them from meta moving. You say you are here. You're here until you say you have moved. And then when you move, you go to this spot, whatever. You don't automatically go over there just because you're busy here doing something. You were looking at the chest over here, stuff like that. You're not suddenly over here behind the door where the rest of the characters are being suddenly attacked. And then I mean, sure, you can hear something from here, and then you move through, and then you reach your friends, in the middle of combat. That's how it would go. It's that's to mitigate that meta moving. So that's the only reason why I would use miniatures in this game. So um, that's that. It's a cool book, very very easy to go through. Like I say, this one I like a little better. However, you're missing a few things, and the reason why I like it a little better is because the explanations for everything are right there as you're creating the character. All those options are on the same page, and you don't have to go through another group of pages to go search it out. That is a cool thing as well. So, depends on you and your players. Which one do you like? Either one will work. And if you use this one, remember, there's the newer one to grab all those new ideas out of. So just do that. This is a great book. It's got lots of cool pictures in it to entice you into coming up with a genre, because this is a generic system. You can play it out any way you want. It could be a fantasy, then it can turn into a western, and it can be a sci-fi. And you don't have to change anything. You're just continuing on with the same characters if you wanted to, or make new ones and then have a sci-fi game, and then make new ones and have a cowboys in the old west game if you want, and then pick another set of characters and play the horror, Arkham horror kind of thing, mystery solvers. It's all up to what you decide on for adventures and what your players are into at the time, and this works for everything. It's awesome. Once again, we got the creatures as we've seen from a couple of different ones, and yeah, neat. What Godforsaken adds, and I'll bring that over here. There we go. This is a smaller book. It's just kind of a setting book. And what I like about it is it gives you some ideas here, right off the bat. And the table of contents tells you what it's all about. Making, plots. It's all based off medieval fantasy. So it doesn't have any extra. Well, it has a few extra rules, extra foci and stuff like that you can use in your game. So, which is cool. But it delves like a little bit deeper in how magic works, and how you can make it work. It's not all set in stone rules here. You can play around with this. It has some really cool ideas. Takes animal shape. Uses wild magic. Walks the wild woods. New foci here, so it gives you new abilities and stuff, and which is cool. I think a couple of our characters. Yeah, I think Gord's character is using special rules out of this too. So it does give you an updated kind of weapon chart here, different armors, random rolls for a lot of stuff if you want. How much stuff will usually cost in gold pieces, because that's going to be what you are dealing with is gold pieces there, and gets into ideas with running fairy tales, historical fantasy, paranormal, romance, dying earth, all that kind of stuff. So crafting ciphers, here we go. This is cool. This is why I got this book. It gets into more of that, learning rituals, stuff like that for your characters so that they could play out their spell casting and stuff like that. A lot of great weird art as well, which is cool. And we got orc with pink hand flame. Very how Shauner puts it, bisexual lighting, and different ideas for stuff. Magic items, weird stuff. More ideas for different character types. So gnomes, halflings, lizard folk, blah blah blah. More on the GM intrusions, so it gives you some ideas there that you can throw in. But these are very you're going to find that the cards, like if you pick up any cards for Cypher System, that they can be used in any genre, really. Sci-fi, fantasy, all that stuff. You can just lift things off of it and put the fantasy twist on it or the sci-fi twist on it, and just have fun with it. Gives you a lot more creatures than the original Cypher System book. So you have all kinds of awful things for your players to encounter. And it also gets into the Godforsaken setting, which I've taken and I'm using only like somewhat of a part of it. So just some of the ideas. So this is the setting here. This is the world that they give you. My world's a totally different thing. So I don't have they end up with the pronunciation of everything. Sacronte, the Sacronte. This is the Sacronte, the 5 gods. I have 5 gods, which they are searching for in my version of Godforsaken, and 2 of the gods are known from the characters, because they've taken abilities which are a God's blessing. So their God has blessed them. So they've discovered the name of a god. So they have taken tutelage underneath the god itself. They've decided to continue the worship of that god. So, and in this world, not this one, but in my world, all the names of the gods have been erased because there was a big bad thing that happened, and they decided to take off the heads of the god, like the statues and everything, and they destroyed any kind of mention, or at least they think they have. But in ruined temples and stuff, there could be what remains of the names of the gods. So that is the idea behind my game, is they are seeking out the other 3 names of the gods in order to stop the evil that is encroaching on them, on their world, to break the the evil overlords that rule upon them. So through the bad guys. So the bad guys being like the evil god of the world, or the planet Vor that rules it. So yeah, I mean, this has some good ideas in it. You can play. It's got some scenarios and stuff, and it's got some ideas for playing the game and making up your own scenarios. This is all scenario stuff. I'm not using any of this, so I don't care if anybody else sees this. Some interesting things. It gives you the sense of what you're supposed to do, like in this kind of a setting, like as a game master. And it's cool to take that and make your own twist on it. And it has some ideas of churning in a lot of Numenera into it and stuff. Like it's very easy to do. And that's why we are going to be playing it, because it's going to be cool. And hopefully you think it's cool too. So if you end up watching our game on Sunday and you decide that, hey, this is cool, let us know, and type that up into the comment section below when you see the live stream on Sunday, and just say, hey, yeah, we'd like to see more of this. So if this pans out all right, then this will be our every second Monday game, which will be Cipher Monday. But in the meantime, we will go back to playing more Traveler once again. So we'll always be playing Traveler on Sundays from then on, at least until we finally get sick of it, or I need to have a break or something. Thinking off the fly is sometimes exhausting, but it's fun at the same time. So I don't know. That's we'll see how it goes. We might switch up games every once in a while, because I know a lot of you guys like watching the Traveler games and stuff, and I try to make them kind of really weird and outer limits and strange, because I like that thing, and that's why I got into the Monty Cook Cypher System, because it was weird. It was what I was into as far as the way I would present games and have weird stuff occurring, which is sometimes if it's in a weird setting, it works. if you're trying to portray a normal thing, and then you put weird stuff in it, it's just weird, and it doesn't work. So but this it all works. Numenera, it works, and that's the cool thing. And the strange, it works. So we'll be playing a lot more of that Cipher stuff. So which is it's my go-to. If I'm gonna play something, I will want to play Cipher, because it's freeing. It doesn't make me, the game master, an enemy. I'm not the enemy. I'm just portraying the game as it goes through, and the players are rolling against themselves basically. So it's up to them to succeed each time, be it an attack or a defense. So anyways, that's everything I'm gonna go on about this here. So if you do feel like hitting that subscribe button, I guarantee you I will not be monetizing this channel, no matter how big it gets. You keep me to it. If I'm going to make any money, it'll probably be from my own materials and stuff like that, because that's the way I roll. And yeah, and YouTube isn't very fair with their policies, so I won't indulge them anyways. Go ahead and use an ad blocker. I encourage it. Thank you. Until then, we'll talk to you later. And if you can, subscribe. Subscribe, I tell you. Just do it. Do it now. Hit the button.